There always should be somebody you really love. You know, I dig that song, people, and I'm old. You know, it came out when I was, 19 or 20, man. Yeah, I have an idea what it means. It's cool. It's cool, and if it don't, it don't. Hey. Yeah, well, here we go. Good morning. It's Rockin' Larry Locke, and I say good morning because it is early morning where I'm at. It's about 12. Luke. Technical difficulties. Morning. It's Rockin' Larry Locke, and I say good morning because it is early morning where I'm at. It's about 12 minutes before 4 o'clock in the morning on the west coast of the United States. Hey, Oregon, the big hub, like New Jersey. UFO mania. Well, I've been working the beat, talking to everybody I can think of, looking at what everybody's saying, checking out what the Ashtar Command had to say. A guy that I used to channel the same exact thing every week for about 2 years in 11 and 12, saw what he had to say, Alger. His usual sarcastic, cynical, kind of arrogant self. Everybody that doesn't agree with him is representing the dark side and is channeling dark extraterrestrials. There's a lot of truth to what he says, but he's just a little too arrogant. But the dude is pretty right on. He's claiming that all of this stuff is just a false flag. The military's testing out their new equipment. You see, and then Ashtar is saying that that's a bunch of crap, and then the command came back and said the next day that some of the weaponry is part of the cabals. Some of these drones are the cabals, but most of these drones are the UFOs. So this is the deal, people. It's all about discernment right now. It's just whatever you need to go within with a clear mind and go within if it's going to bug you, because there's a little bit of truth to all of this stuff, and we just don't know. There's a lot of truth to all of it because it's all here. Okay, isn't it kind of funny? I mean, it's just, and what is the government really like? I mean, they're not even trying to, they can't really do anything about it if it's extraterrestrial, right, at all. And so that leads me to believe it probably mostly is because, they're just kind of trying to sweep it under the rug, except, some people in Congress and in the House that are wanting an investigation done. Nothing's really going to be done. What can they do? Send the military out to shoot them down over civilian populations? I mean, I suppose, but see, it doesn't matter what they do. It's up to the people. Look how the American people rolled over like little bitches, and I hate to use that word because I never call women that, but look at how they rolled over in 2001 on 9/11. I mean, really. That's still one thing I can't ever really forgive anybody for that. For willing to give up any of their rights on that day. And thinking that Bush was such a hero. Yeah, right. Okay, I ain't saying he was behind it, but come on, somebody let somebody in there big time. And, it just, it was weird. Americans get weird like that, though. I don't know, it didn't bother me none. I mean, every other country in the world's had to face it, be attacked, be hit. I mean, I always felt bad for the people that lived there, sure, but, not the people that, got all up in arms about it at the wrong people, no. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we went after a country that did nothing to us. I mean, we didn't even go after the country that had the people, where the supposed terrorists were from. We didn't go after them. It just goes to show you. But I think we've advanced a little bit since then in the mind, I'm hoping. It's all about what people want to do, no matter what it is. I mean, if it was some kind of a false flag, well, they can't do anything without the people giving in. And what would people be so scared about that they'd want to give up their rights? Like what? Drones were flying over their house? Pup, bring them on, man. I mean, okay. I mean, their shit's flying around up there anyway. Yeah, I think it's just much to do about nothing, really. So what if it was extraterrestrial? So what if it was the military? So what if it was some kids down the street? I mean, as far as what the military's going to spy on you with them, I mean, they already know what you're doing. I mean, they could if they wanted to. They already know. They have the technology. They've had it for 50 years or more to spy on you from space with a camera the size of a pin, okay, and look inside of your house through a window. And I'm not talking about like using, infrared to figure out how many people are in the house. I'm talking like form a camera in there and see what's going on. Enemy of the state was, that was 25 years ago. That was dead on, and they had had that technology for 20 years then, practically, in a, maybe a little more of an antiquated form. It's the same thing. I mean, so, what? I thought we'd get away from, though. I thought if you're still listening to me and haven't hung up and said what a dick yet, I thought maybe we would get away from that, though, for a little bit. Yeah, because it's everything you can imagine, and I mean, people are, I don't know, it's weird. I all of a sudden I don't really have anything to say about it. But I find myself now, all that time I wanted to tell everybody shit all the time, and now that it's something like that's here, it's just like, I don't fulfill it as an imposition to me. I feel honored if somebody wants to know that from me, but I just don't. I'm way since over it all. Whether it was a false flag, whether it was the ETs coming here, whether it was anything, every humanity getting together. I'm at peace with whatever, or not at peace with, you know what I mean? I'm so, that shit, any kind of an emotion I was going to get negative or positive from it, that shit done passed me by several hundred miles back down the road. So, hey, whatever, here we go. But look, with the Christmas season here and everything, I was thinking about, I know that Colin and P.S. Smith, they channel Larkma, who I did too for about 6 months. I had them before the Orbs. The Orbs are kind of like cousins of theirs. They were talking about this thing about the naughty and nice vibration of the Christmas season, whether you're naughty or if you're nice, who's been good, who's been bad, yeah. What if naughty and nice, though? I mean, does that kind of, if you've been naughty or nice, does that imply like a judgment, do you think? Have you been naughty or nice? Is that kind of an undertone way of, I mean, like in terms, for instance, of, the kind of frequency or the kind of vibe you're putting out there? Does it serve your best interest to kind of say to a kid, have you been naughty or nice? Just the undertones to it? I don't know, I don't think so. I think it's kind of corny to be quite honest with you. When you're in a low band of frequency, though, you react to things in the most emotional, weird way sometimes. You're thinking thoughts that don't serve you, for one, and your mind's just kind of all over the place, looking for something to get, stay irritated about. When you're judging, even when you're judging yourself, much less somebody else, or a circumstance where you're making choices, things that are going to be harmful for you, things that aren't going to be of your best interest, that's a lower frequency, that's kind of what it is. That's getting way down there on the dial, towards that end of the band where nobody really wants to get a radio station at, Higher frequencies, when you get into a higher frequency, though, it transcends judgment, though. It kind of, it transmutes it in a way. It helps you to accept others. This is what I've been talking about, people. Seriously, like forever now, beating the drum about this judgment thing. How you can, when you don't have any judgment, you can judge. Yeah, you can judge, and I don't mean judge like the word judge, like that kind of. I mean, it gives you a pretty goddamn good idea within 80 to 85% of exactly what's going on before you even know much of the story, because you understand. Well, also to go along with it, you probably have had to been around the block maybe at least a half a time in your life. Okay, that'd help. Because you already see 80 to 85% of the picture, right? And then when you hear the whole story, you're like, oh yeah, and then 95% at the least is completely clear to you. At least, you know what I mean? You know the whole thing because you know what can happen. You know what people can do in certain circumstances. And not that you excuse it, but you know that if they're put in a certain position, they might, they might do this or they might do that. And, you just don't know. You know that it's a possibility, though, right? Because you can understand that. And another way is this. Okay, so your frequency, instead of getting... another way to keep it high, instead of getting embroiled in like some conflict, where these differences just keep creeping up, or it's like it seems like you both just can't stop arguing with each other. People could try to sit down and talk out different perspectives and be willing to listen and use a clearer tone with each other. Recognize each other's way of thinking and stuff. Move more towards like a peace and less towards the frequency war vibration, right? Try to understand where it's not, you're not going to ever be in a position where it's just one religion is right, one opinion is right, one doctrine is right. And if you think that, you're crazy to think somebody else is going to think it. You don't think it. Why would you think anybody else would? You know what I mean? And why would you Why wouldn't you want to do unto others as you would want them to do unto you? Is it because, I know in your case, though, it's you got the right answer. I see, I get it, okay. Yeah, I'd love a world like that myself, if I was the one on top all the time. You can really have a wonderful time raising your frequency. You really, really can. A good mood can help trigger another good mood, especially during the holiday season. You know what I mean? If it's genuine and you can really just make it happen, I mean, it can set off a chain effect. And there are families out there that are lucky enough to where that's just every year they're blessed. They have a holiday like that, and and they are very blessed people. Great people that are blessed, and I just hope that they realize that most people that really genuinely do, they do know, they do. Because if they don't, it doesn't show, you know what I mean? It shows more when they do know they're blessed. If they don't realize how blessed they are or even close, you tend to see them not kind of, it shows, you know what I mean? People that are really blessed and they're really full of love and full of life, right? And their families are, those people know. You got them alone in that midnight hour and ask them, yeah, you're damn right, they'll tell you, hey, look, I know it. I know. Yeah, I know I'm blessed. Frequency, one of my favorite words. Frequency is my favorite word. I like vibration, frequency, energy, and plasma. There's an ill crystal, too. I like that, too. All those. But that's kind of what life is, all those. Sometimes you might need a frequency tune-up, though. Kind of like, and maybe not a forced kick in the ass one like some of these shifts are. Boy, aren't those those are a frequency tune-up, all right. Yeah, and that's exactly what those are for, the collective ones, the big-ass ones especially, because, that way you're not up into this, you're not all of a sudden in another higher part of your own dimension, but yet in a higher dimension, so to speak. You're not there and everything's not, going na-na-na-na-na-na in your head and shaking and everything. You're able to handle the vibration of it, right? That's why those shifts happen to us, people. We couldn't just go walk right into the 6th or the 7th dimension. Your head would be, it'd be a combination of your head swimming in liquidy plasma air and, real loud in your ears, and it'd be like a loud, non-sounding vibration, or it'd be a vibration that was really loud, but it wasn't sound loud. I don't know, unless you've ever experienced something like that. It's hard to explain, but if you have, you'll know what the hell I'm talking about. With the holiday season, with anything, whether it's Thanksgiving, even, something like the Super Bowl or something, I try not to get caught up in I know we got such a habit of getting caught up in the minutia of the superficial parts of it, right? I don't know, the latest snacks that are out, the latest, this that's out, the latest, just the whole commercialized part of it, the fake kind of, it kind of puts us on autopilot, right? You know what I mean? And that's kind of fine. A little bit of that's okay during holiday season to relax with family members, but, maybe we should try a little bit more often to be there in the now with them and talk. And there's probably a lot of people, this is what they do, and they're lucky. They're lucky. My family used to be that way too, but families aren't. The reason why a lot of them aren't that way anymore is because it's not because of some social decay people in the country. I mean, really, it ain't quite that. They're not as big as they once were on a whole, okay? And it's not as tradition-based. I'd say my parents' generation, that World War II generation, was really the last generation to completely be into that completely, because, and people say, well, my parents they were in Vietnam, or I get that, I know that, but I'm talking about like as a whole generation of people, because by the time the Vietnam era parents were in, people were both having to go to work, or a lot of divorces started happening, you had latchkey kids, and things just got different, okay, and people weren't having as many kids because you did, for a myriad of reasons. One, they were getting too expensive. Two, they didn't need them for farming and all that shit. Better birth control. Women stood up for themselves a little bit better and didn't just sit there and let their drunk husband come home every night and be the 62nd man that he is, and with no romance or anything or no blush. Like, motherfucker, you can get your shit together. You want some of this, you're going to have to earn it, None of this bullshit of, coming in and going, I'll rock 'em, sock 'em all night long. I'm a 60-second man. Yeah, well, there's an old song that's a 60-minute man, but, Yeah, those dudes can dream. Yeah. I didn't even tell you what I was thinking. Yep. The 15-second, man, the old two pumping. Yeah, but you know what does, the thing is, right, what doesn't cost anything to do or really take any effort at all is to just smile and wave at somebody in the store or something like that. It doesn't take any effort whatsoever. A handshake, a hug, a fist bump. You don't want to touch, give a fist bump or give one in the air towards them, give a gesture, a notion, So, you don't even have to bump fists if you don't want to. Just kind of hold one out in the air or give them a fist of solidarity. We could all give each other big fists of solidarity, you know what I mean? Any given time, though, at any given moment, a person can choose. They can choose to go back into that old paradigm way of thinking and traditions. And it's rough because, it doesn't take much. Sometimes it takes a little bit of an effort to not do it. But it's real easy to kind of slip up. So, the thing is okay, so these things are temporary. How do you make it kind of last longer? Well, if you're trying to shift the there's a lot of ways you can do that. There's different kinds of meditation. There's different, there's just, you can structure things more. You can decide, you can kind of make a pact like with the whole family. If your family gets together for holidays, you can decide that you're going to maybe meditate. Well, you don't have to get them all to meditate together, but just decide that you're going to be, for that moment in time, more lighthearted with each other, you know what I mean? Just kind of, hey, anything that's negative is off the table, right? There's nothing going to be talked about unless it's an absolute urgent, in the moment, urgent, needs to get taken care of now, which goes without saying. But in the short of that, you can hold your breath till afterward. And listen to each other, you know what I mean? Just bite your tongue and just listen to each other, and then, maybe that's some point, people would be biting their tongue for you, but have it first and foremost in your mind that you want to have that other, the other people talk, and you just listen, and just, and really kind of hear what they're saying. And I think you'll find that even as boring as it can be, depending on who you're around, right? I think if you find yourself doing that, you can kind of, before you know it, you'll get really lost in the conversation and listening. It's not really as hard as you think it is. I think have such a mental block sometimes with things, you know what I mean? Become that light this holiday season. Let's do it this one year, man. Let's do it, seriously. And I've got a lot to not be happy about. I've been separated from my wife for 2 years. We're still having got a divorce. I'm miserable. My kids are grown. My parents are getting old. I'm trying to take care of them. I never did become the big, I never did become the next Art Bell. No, I'm cool with that, though. But you know what I mean? I never, I'm just like, fuck, man. My legs are shot, dude. I'm retaining water like crazy, and I don't know why. I'm losing weight and eating okay, but I don't know, but I'm not doing very good for people. Not at all. But you know what? I'm here for another day at least, and yeah, it's pretty bad. I probably should be in the hospital, obviously getting them drained, but I don't know. But this is a holiday season, and it's not easy for a lot of people right now, man. It's not easy. It's hard. It's always depressing at Christmas for a lot of people, a lot of reasons. If you're a family that has a lot of love for each other, and you can, and you can pretty much, you're not wealthy, but you can cover gifts for everybody and all that stuff, right? Then you're double lucky. Then you really have a lot to be blessed for. You know what I mean? Even if you've worked your ass off to get that your whole life, and you deserve it, yeah, you still should be grateful, because there are so many people that isn't the case for. That, hey, look, it ain't the case with all those people there that they didn't work their ass off or that they were lazy. Trust me, there's enough people that if that were the case, we'd have folded up 10 as a country already a long time ago. Believe me, it's not really the case in quite a bit of the situation, at the very least, okay? So, yeah, it's not a matter of that necessarily. There's all kinds of circumstances. So that being said, there's people that, due to circumstances really beyond their control. And unless you got generational wealth, it could happen to anybody, man. Seriously. Yeah, it's crazy. So I don't begrudge people for making money. Man, I don't begrudge people that are, families worth a couple million. Now, what I think when it gets stupid is when you're worth like, when you get into tens of millions of stuff, dollars, right? That's when that's fine, but that's when you kind of lose it. As far as you could be the best person in the world. You're worth $10 million to your name. Unless you had a ton of kids and bills to pay off. I mean, you're not, even the best person in the world, you'll never be the same again. You're just natural, you won't. I mean, because you will never know what it's like to have to worry again, except for in very extreme cases, like in deaths or in, and even then, still, you got that money to fall back on, and not that it doesn't, that can't bring anybody back, but, I mean, you don't have to worry about a bill ever again. You're worth $20 million, you'll never have to worry about your grandkids or great-grandkids ever even, having to worry again. So there's a freedom and a peace of mind, and I don't begrudge anybody for that, but I'm the first one to admit I would not, overnight I would lose, I wouldn't know what it was like anymore. And I wouldn't go nuts and start flipping out and buying a bunch of shit with it. I'm just saying, if that was off my mind I immediately I couldn't relate anymore. I could relate and remember, but I couldn't relate because it wasn't part of my reality. So, it's, yeah, it's one of them things. And another thing, too, is, now that we get off that soapbox there, we just have, try to get along this holiday season. Try not to, and hopefully things don't go, you don't have any cluster, like Christmas vacation or anything like that. And if you do, just laugh it off unless you're the one getting electrocuted, which would be me tripping over my shoelaces trying to put up Christmas lights. That's another thing. People, I don't know where you live, but people don't. People decorate still for Christmas. Their houses, but not much. Man, I'll tell you what, you were a pariah if you didn't put up lights when I was a kid. You were looked at like you were weird. Oh, Roma, are those people with some weird religion or what the hell? You just didn't do it unless you were unless it was for religious reasons. You just didn't do it. You decorated your house. Now you get about there's probably one out of every, 6 to 10 houses here in just a typical middle-class neighborhood. Lower to average, a teeny bit above average middle-class neighborhood. 1 out of every 6 or so. And I'm being very, very generous when I say that. It's more like 1 out of more than 10 in most places. Seriously. Straight up. I ain't bullshitting at all. Of course, I don't know where you're at, but you might know that. Yeah, it's true. Oh, God, it's true. Another thing, too, is it must be synchronicity. A lot of times the Pleiadian souls and channelers are like that. We get a lot of the same shit at the same time, or within a couple weeks each other, or we were thinking about one thing, or somebody was thinking about one thing, or somebody will come up with something, and somebody else will be talking about it again in a couple weeks or something. You know what I mean? And in a way where it seems like it's come through consciousness. Like with this number 13, I've been on this kick again with the number 13. Well, they're talking about it again, about it being actually it is. It was meant not to be an unlucky number. It's actually kind of a lucky number. Not that I'm not, advocating that luck is everything, but for some reason, we were made to believe or want to believe that 13 was unlucky. And there must be something to it, because why would they, think about this, man, if there was really nothing to it at all, why would they make such a big deal about it being unlucky? And what in the hell is their basis for it being unlucky? Whatever the story was, I don't know why. Is it some wise tale, and if it's some bullshit, everybody's forgotten about it already, whatever their meaning for it was. But I've even heard of hotels that don't even have a 13th floor and shit. You know what I mean? Because they're paranoid of that number. And I'm like, why, man? To me, it's lucky. My favorite quarterback of all time, Dan Marino, wore number 13, and all the other quarterbacks wore number 12 back then. Of course, he never won a Super Bowl either, and had every passing record there was for years, so, I don't know, I might be a little wrong there, but you know what I mean? 13, it's a baker's dozen. I think really we gotta have 13 months in the year. Think about this, we've got 28 days extra, we got the 48 weeks, and then, that would be 12 4-week months, and then you'd have another one. I really do think it, honestly. or they should go to, just have it. I don't know what they should do. I was thinking that what you could do is take February and bump it up to 30 days, and that takes 2 away. That leaves like what, 5? That would leave like 4 months with that extra day. Then every month would be 30, except for 4 months out of the year, and you could have that be once every quarter. You know what I mean? 1 month out of every 4, or out of every 3, excuse me. You would have an extra day, or they could just shake hand the day. I don't know, but that might mess with time. I'm just thinking that it would have been perfect. And I've also heard, what I've heard talked about before too? And I can't remember, I wish I would knew where I heard this, it was years ago. I heard them talking about that, and I heard them also talking about a 13th zodiac sign. Yeah. I wonder if any astrologers out there, if you ever hear this, you kind of maybe tune me into the game as to what they might be talking about, and if you ever heard anything like that. I mean, I don't doubt it at all. Of course there would be one, but I mean, I've never heard it actually called or referred to as anything, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, 13 is, that 13th dimension. We're talking about that 12 and 12 and 12 and 12 and 12 and 144. Yeah, +1, all the +1. There's where your 13 comes in. Yeah, I don't have it all tied together quite yet, but I think I'm on the right track. I don't know how to quite articulate that. The moon, in fact, the moon used to somehow have like 13 cycles in a year, around the earth. I don't know if that's still the case. See, I need to look more into this kind of stuff. I've never been a big astrology guy, although when you get a golden one, they're golden. I feel for a good reader. There's some goddamn good readers out there. There's some good astrologers, people that are smart. I know. I used to do shows with one. She was dynamite. Yeah, 2 of them. She taught the one's still going who got taught by her. Yeah, they're dynamite. And I feel for them because there's a lot of people that go into that field either half-ass or they go into some kind of a little fantasy mystery kind of a thing, like people that get into, Wicca or witchcraft that are, oh, this is neat, or, oh, wow, cool, yeah, but they're really not into the studying of it and getting it down, right? So I feel for them, the good ones that are out there, because they get a bad name, mainly because, it's bullshit that they do and people are judgmental, but then people that come into the field they do it half-ass like some fad, and they don't help the cause either. So, I feel for them. This 13 thing, this is kind of a holy time right now because women, women were the ones to bring forth life. Okay, and that's why it should be looked at that way, is what I'm saying. Women were the ones that brought forth life, okay? And, and what were men doing? Well, for a lot of it, they were deciding they just wanted to take life. And that's what they did. Women were the bearers of life. Women should be honored. Actually, the holiday season really should be about women. It really should be, or at least a big, it's about family, but it really should have an emphasis on the goddess. Big time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it just, I don't know, and I don't know, and then you wonder if it all had to do with something as simple as like when you get back into the 12 and 13 thing, if it's simpler to, just an even number, it's easier to deal with, right? And, it takes a lot less, and it might have been that it was hard to keep track of Hardy. Well, of course it was hard to keep track of time, and it was simpler to do it in 12s instead of 13s. I can see that. That in those days, maybe they could have figured it out a little bit better if they would have listened to Divine Feminine a little bit more, instead of just having that mentality that they should just be there to cook and be barefoot and pregnant and let the man do all the brilliant thinking. Yeah, that got us quite a ways, didn't it? Yeah, I think it got us finally to toothbrush invented by the beginning of the 20th century. Oh, God. Again, just terrible. But we live and we've learned, but we really have had a terrible past. And I say that because, we don't ever want to go back to it. we don't want to dwell on it, but yeah, we do need to take time to sometimes stand back and look at how we were to people, how we were to women, how we were to witches, how we treated witches that were no more than just hell. They were helpers, they were lovers of humanity, and, putting together, medicines when people were sick, and their secret book of recipes and cool shit like that. And man, scary. People were scary. As far as like what they didn't know or judge, they wanted it. They would get violent with it. I just have never understood that, though. I've never understood that. I mean, look scary, motherfucker. If I'm scared of you, I'm just gonna leave or go somewhere else. Or yeah, I'll make sure you get the hell, go away from me, go. But I'm not gonna come and try to burn you down or anything. Believe me, I don't. The point is, I want you away from me. I don't want to come fuck with you. The only way I'm gonna fuck with you is if you're here staying here fucking with me, and and you force me to out of survival. And I'd hate to have to do that. But I'm not gonna, once you're gone, you're gone. I'm not fucking, that's all I want. I'm not gonna come burn the witch, But there are people that, they're like that. You know what? They're walking among us, though, still. That's the thing, is it's not good to dwell on shit like that, bad energy, but they're among us. And they don't look like lizards. Well, maybe some of them do, but Pat Robertson's no longer with us. We can't talk bad about him. Look, they just don't. And you can say, well, they're people too. Yeah, they are people too. But some of these people really are like really nasty people. And it's not people that just come right out and say it either. Trust me, if you know some belligerent loudmouth, right? It's loud and stuff. This isn't the people I'm talking about. Those are obvious, and those aren't the methodical ones. I mean, at least with somebody's fucker like that, you know what you're getting. Yeah, they're a prick, they're a jerk. You get it. You see it. But you can hear some people say shit once in a while that you'd never think you'd hear them saying. We all have bad days, but it's what they said. It's not what they said, it's how. Because we've all probably said what they've said before out of frustration. It's just, and the way they act towards it, it's, the whole action of itself is about 1/10 of it to me. Actions speak louder than words. Well, the action's about 1/10 of it because there's so many variables. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure, if I want something right away, actions speak louder than words. Like if I was in high school and wanted a bag of weed, my homeboy ripped me off or something, I'd be like, hey, I ain't gonna do it next time. And then I might be like, hey, actions speak louder than words. But, typically, no, I understand that people have problems in life. People have families, there's a million things that go wrong, and people do have good intentions. I look at their intentions, people really do, but shit happens. You don't want to disappoint other people, mainly because we have a hard time being real with each other because, you had to grow up in a world where people aren't real with you, so, everything's so glummy and everything's so fake, and like Puddle would say, it just, it gets crazy sometimes. But I think, like, if we would have, back in those days and stuff, too, where they were, killing, like, let's see, for about 200 years, they killed 3 witches. In Europe, they were executing, like, what was it? They were executing, like, 3 witches a week. Executing them a week for 200 years, you know what I mean? That's what we know about that's on statistic. God knows how many more it really was. If we might have been more, let our guts and let our intuition go with the divine feminine and have her embrace nature through her. Instead of any time, she was into nature or anything, thinking that it's some kind of a weird, witchy, fairy tale kind of a evil type of a thing. I mean, anything to do with, these people are fucking something that come up with all the shit that's evil. I mean, for the life of me, it's really a fascinating study in science and human behavior. I mean, truly. The shit that's evil and, oh, God. I mean, anything with anything. I mean, there was a time where a goddamn tie-dyed shirt was evil. Anything. Oh, man, fuck, dude, anything was evil. Anything that looked, anything that wasn't completely in lockstep. Yeah, but we have trouble learning as humans. We really do. But I really do, man. I'd be all for integrating a 13-month calendar. I'm serious. I think it'd work perfect. I think it isn't like we needed the Western Union Pony Express, 150 years ago for certain things. We have the technology now way since we don't need something that basic. We have the technology where we could handle a 13-month calendar, and basic shit, I think it'd be more basic because every month would have 28 days in it. You know what I mean? And it fit perfectly. I think it would work for so many reasons. I really and truly do. You would just adjust everybody's whatever. Hey, I'd even, for the throwing a prize, I'd say, hey, sport, I'll tell you what. You get to pick. You want your birthday to stay on the same date as it is, or do you want to move it to adjust? No. Well, give people the option. To decide what they want to do. They want to move it, and then going back, if you're old, you're going to have to go back. Okay, so when would I have been born if we... Yeah, I don't know how that'd work. I'm not going to get my head wrapped up in that trip right now, but it's very, it's something that could be done. Look at, countries have converted over. Canada converted to the metric system, okay, in modern times, which America should do because the rest of the country, the rest of the goddamn world uses it in the Celsius scale too, and it's a little more accurate, okay, but forget all that. Let's say it was a little less accurate. I don't give a shit. We should still do it because the rest of the modern westernized nations do it. And we don't do it because we're lazy. And another thing we don't do that they all do, teaching their kids a second language right off the bat. 3 and 4 of them in a lot of places, right off the bat. Why wouldn't we require kids to learn Spanish when they're young? Why? Because it might mean that it encourages and lets it be okay that you can just speak Spanish here, or that you can come up here illegally somehow. Well, who cares about all that? Wouldn't you want your kid for a career opportunity when they're older to know the goddamn language, a second language? Who cares about I don't give a shit if it's Russian. Okay, whatever. Teach them another language. I mean, it would be more, Spanish, it would be the one to do, but, you know what I mean? But I know that that's part of it. And it's laziness. So, there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing both those things. A kid should be learning it right away. It's harder to learn it when you're older. It ain't as easy. Anybody will tell you that. Yeah, I'd like to see a lot of us learn how to read. If we wouldn't have learned how to read when we were in kindergarten or before that, wait till we were in high school? Shit. You gotta be kidding me. No fucking way. Not with my ADD mind. Not unless I loved it. If I loved it, I would know everything. I would be the best reader to ever live, or one of them. But without it, shit, good luck. Good luck. Yeah. That's the thing with Pleiadian autism. You know it and you like it. I'll know as much about it as anybody, or close. Be up in that high percentile, but if I don't, forget it. It's hard. Rough. That's why I was great at math until it got to be shit that you had to start breaking down. When it's just repetition and repetition and repetition, fine. Just like with spelling, or for instance, something I really love like history. Sure. Or people like me that were into science, but I really wasn't that much. I had a chemistry set I was into, so I was really bored by the shit at school that they taught. And by the time I got old enough to take stuff like anything further along than human biology too, chemistry, I was into it until about a year before I could take it, and then I'm like, fuck it, no. Yeah, it was kind of one of them things. But, another thing too is, I used to kind of laugh this off because I live by the beach. I haven't been out there in years, but I'm just trying to think again, and I'm thinking about, just putting my feet in the sand and in the grass, or dipping my toe. I'm starting to, I've always known that's a good idea, and it is a good idea. I've done it a million times, but I'm really starting to get full of the feeling of wanting to actually go do it, for the first time in my life. So I'm thinking about those kind of things too. But we really, I don't know. I feel even, it's like with this UFO thing, I feel like, God, I beat the horse for so many years. It's like with the Divine Feminine, about us worshiping the Divine Feminine, and I really feel that way totally. But I feel like I have nothing left in the tank to give to fight that battle anymore. I love doing it, but I feel like I'm so hollow when I say it, because I feel like I've said it a million times, and I don't know. I believe in it totally, and I feel like I just don't feel any passion behind it anymore when I'm saying it, but I still am, though. Don't get it twisted. I'm very much for that kind of stuff, and us starting to really reevaluate how we do things as a society. But it's like now that we're at the point of maybe starting to do it, I'm like, okay, actually, I wish this would happen a while back. Yeah, man, I would have killed for it. Now that I'm like, oh, okay. And now it's happening. Now I'm like, oh, man. Wow. That's cool, though. But, yeah. I don't know where we're going to go with all this stuff, though. Who knows? We'll see. You know, and it'll take a while. It's just really bizarre. You're seeing it all over. It's like it's there. Okay, so if it were this big threat, right? If it were this big threat, who's doing anything about it? No. The whole thing's funny and weird, and yet I get it, you know. It's, I could see phony bullshit. You know, like when Fox is reporting that my dad watches that channel, it's, well, all of them are bullshit, but then, you know, especially them with some things, they're just a little bit, like, in the dark about those kind of things. They're just like, oh, I wonder where these drones are coming from. What about these drones? What about the... See, they make a bigger fucking deal of it than it is, and then the real big deal about it, they would play down. You know, people kill me sometimes, but yeah, they are what they are, and a false flag. And you know, the thing is that why I try to kind of don't really agree with Alj that much. His stuff is solid, but a false flag would be some boom all of a sudden, boom. It would be the best way to run one. Not a build-up with these fucking drones like all the time, especially with people now that are a little more awakened. You know, you'd figure you'd hit them with something real quick and get them paranoid, not. But then again, there are a lot of fucking stupid people out there that are going to get all weirded out because it keeps going and going and going with the drones, if that were the case. So my ET friends, I would watch for the little mental midgets among us still that are going to get tired because they keep hearing about cool drones flying around and shit. Oh, God. Oh, my God, a bird flew over my house. A bird flew over my house. I mean, okay, all right. Like, look, why do they want my social security number? Why do they want that? I'll give it away everywhere. Yeah, and I'm going to knock that. I'm not talking about, like, some asshole calls you on the phone and wants to know who you don't know, it's, you know, to try to hack you or whatever. I'm talking about, like, at the bank or the airport or something. Why do they need it? Well, they can get it anyway. Why not? You know. Yeah, why not? Oh, because, sir, I would just like to see it. I'd just like to see it, sir. I wish I was in a position to wouldn't get in trouble for saying things like that and be like, well, sir, I just kind of want to see it. You know, I'm into looking at numbers. And I figured the more that I could read yours, the more that, see, what'll happen is the more I read your social security number, the more I'm going to memorize it. You know, and just to keep it there in case I need it sometime. And I don't know what I could need it for. You know, I like messing with people that are that paranoid. Yeah, you know, and... well, I don't want somebody hacking my information. Well, dude, I doubt the person at the bank's gonna give it to somebody, and if they do, well, hey, that kind of shit will happen once in a while. You know, maybe it's a kind of a silver lining for you. Maybe then you'll be entitled to sue the shit out of the bank and be able to retire and buy a second home in Bora Bora. Oh, I don't know, but you know what? I just hope that everything is going well for everybody. And you know, it's funny, Starseeds. You know, even if none of this is real, you guys, I love you so much. Look at all we have in common. This is, dude. You know what would be crazier, people listening to me? What would be really crazier than how cool it is what we're going through? You know, what would be really nuttier is if none of it were true. Then that would mean we were all part of some. We're all part of some fucking deep experiment of a. I mean, do you understand how awesome it is that the alternative would be more batshit crazy than any kind of a awakening ascension story could ever be. Oh yeah, we just so happen to all have all our stories at worst are 80% exact like each other's growing up, and the rest, another 15 of it's just semantics and just because the circumstances were a little different. I mean, really. And then the way we felt, the way we either were born awakened or how we came about coming on to the stuff we did. And I mean, like I said, from the one biggest difference to the other, it's like a 20% difference. And I'm talking about like from the most to most. Usually we're around at 99, you know, anywhere from 85 to 95%. You know, 90, yeah. You know, I'm talking about two starseeds at least resonated with each other, having like an 82% likeness. Yeah, man. Oh yeah, it's crazy. It really is. It's wilder than beyond. And you know, it gets wilder and wilder. There's millions. You know, I had the second, and then for a while the third largest group that I ran for this lady, 50,000 people at one point, until, the Star Seeds had one that was 75, and Glenn Cole and his group of the Workers of the World, he's cool, they got over 100,000, but man, some of these groups have millions of people in them, and the way I got it looked at, the way I got it figured, is there's probably 10, that we know of, that I know of, and I'm going to say that they say that was it. There's got to be 10 million people like us, that are of sound mind. Well, not that any of us are of sound mind, but that are not completely like, on our deathbed or whatever, or whatnot. And that's not even counting the younger generations. You should see on my timeline, you should see that 1 minute video that those two kids I ran into at the store the other night and interviewed them. All these teams were here for a tournament, some kind of wrestling tournament and shit. And I interviewed these two kids from up north. I said, hey guys, I got a podcast. Can I talk to you for a minute? And I got 3 questions for you. I said, 1, how would you like a world without the internet? And it surprised me, the kids all, I think it'd be kind of pretty cool actually. And I thought, yeah, sure you would, kid. And I didn't say nothing to them, but they were good, great. And I said, hey, do you guys believe in extraterrestrials? That they live? And they're both like, yeah, kind of touchy subject, but of course. I said, okay, let me ask you 2 more things then. Do you think that some of them are human like us? Yeah, definitely, they said. I said, 1 more, guys, and then you get out of here. I said, do you think it's possible that they came from humans like us? Oh, definitely. Oh, did you have me? Dude, two smart, articulate guys, right on, without even fucking hesitation. Except for the one that said that, that kind of a touchy subject, but I think he was kind of saying that to say it, you know what I mean? So these kids get it, they know it. And it is, and much love, everybody, and love and light, and I love you, and we'll see you next time on the Larry Locken Show. You know where to find me. Somewhere out there.